I think I came in at the tail end of the Thomason era where, you know, the team was still expected to win the conference pretty much on a yearly basis. And then, you know, after my first year, you know, the first year they started really well. They went through a lull toward the middle of the season, and, you know, they kind of never recovered from that. And then we had a really rough year the next year. And then a couple of years later, we go to the NCAA tournament, and that was the end of Bob's era. So I mean, it finished kind of the way everybody expected, you know, a Bob team to finish. And then when Ron came in, there were a lot of high expectations because, you know, he was kind of carrying the baton. And then, of course, the sanctions happened where, you know, guys got caught up in, you know, whatever went on over there. I still don't know the full extent of it. But once those sanctions came down, you know, the program pretty much hit rock bottom. And they needed to make a significant hire to get the program back on track. And, you know, since Damon's arrived, you know, there's been a huge improvement year one to year two, not just in wins and losses, but in the culture also. I think they needed to implement a new culture, and Damon's been able to do that with his staff. The culture change goes, I think Damon needed to implement a culture of accountability. I think when, you know, when everything happened with Ron, that group of players, I think, kind of got used to losing, and they got complacent, and they were okay with coming close to winning but not quite getting there. And Damon needed to overhaul that and say, no, we're here to win, and you guys need to be accountable for that. I think he needed to learn, I don't want to say learn how to lose, but he needed to learn how to take those lumps, because he's a guy that always was able to control his situation as a player. He willed himself to win at 5'0", you know, in the NBA. I mean, whatever he's listed, 5'8", 5'10", or whatever. I mean, he willed himself to be one of the best. And you can try and push people to be at that level, but unless they want it, they're not going to be on that level. So I think he needed to learn how to, you know, get the most out of guys and how to kind of prod them to be great. And it, you know, I think it took that season for him to figure out what else he needed to do strategically to win games in the WCC. Where the change in culture showed was after the loss in the WCC tournament, where, you know, guys were in the locker room and really hurting. I mean, I wasn't in that locker room, but I heard the stories of guys that were, you know, weeping because they'd given their all. I mean, there were 7 guys available, and they took USF to overtime and lost by a point. I mean, it's just that. Then, you know, if they had one more guy, it's probably a win. But those guys gave, I think, everything they could. But he, I think, told them, hey, this is good. Like, you need to feel this. You know, the thing about sports is there's the agony of defeat that nobody really sees until you experience it, and everybody at some point experiences it. So I think in finding that agony and the defeat, even him, you know, he went through it too with those guys. I think it's going to motivate him and the players that are there to be on the winning end next time. I think this year might be a year. From what I've heard, and I was just over there the other day, you know, they had a 6'9" guy commit. They had one of the best guards in the state of Oregon commit. And they have, you know, a bunch of other pieces that are either there or coming in. I mean, they have Jaleel Tripp, Roberto Gallinat coming back. So I think this might be a year where they could finish top 4. And that's the vibe I got from all those guys.